Would you like to support the Insiders? Pick up some merch now. Support us by getting a shirt, a hoodie, support Abby's window, get a Shenanigans shirt, whatever you'd like. Pick up some merch now. Insiders Pro Wrestling. The link is at the end of the video.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. I hope you all had an awesome weekend as we're coming to the end of this one. We've got a very, very special episode of Between the Ropes for you guys tonight. And as I had said before, we want to make these maybe a little bit different. You know, we'll have one where we do the news and things like that we used to do. But every now and then we're going to just have kind of discussions and talk about wrestling and things that just make us happy about the world of pro wrestling and what gets us into wrestling. So we've got a bit of a roundtable going tonight. So it's not just myself and Jeff, but we have two guests with us tonight as well to join in the festivities as I do the Hollywood Squares thing. Bottom left, we've got old friend of the channel. We've got Marie Shadows with us tonight. Hello, Marie. How are you?
Hello. I'm great. I'm fantastic, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Of course, Marie, plug your channel and let everybody know what it is that you're doing lately.
Well, the most recent thing is that I finally got to accomplish the commentary dream. So I am a commentator for Goddesses of War Wrestling over in New Jersey, which is an all-women's wrestling promotion. Thank you, guys. That's like my biggest highlight. Other than that, I've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes to create a lot more content, especially in the New Japan space and also in just regular like indie space as well. So for right now, the places where you can find me is my newsletter, marieshadows.substack.com. I'm still going strong with that. My Twitter @Marie_shadows, and definitely my Discord, which is like really great. We have a wrestling chat forum. So weekly we talk about the wrestling shows. We all are friendly. It's non-toxic. It's non-backstabbing. Like I make sure that the community is all about supporting each other, uplifting each other, and making sure we have conversations about wrestling.
That's awesome. And that's why Marie is a friend of our channel, because we aim to do those things as well. So that's awesome. Glad to hear about the commentating stuff. That's fantastic. That's really, really cool. Really cool. And of course, you know the guy that's down on the lower right. Tazzy's here joining us tonight as well in our roundtable tag team discussion. What's up, Tazzy? How are you?
Well, before I do the normal, I am so glad to be streaming again. It's been a whole week, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm all like trying to connect everything back together to the new apartment and stuff like that. I'm like, did I do that right? Like, but in the meantime, It's an insider party, baby.
There you go. It's not a party without that. So there you go. Now we've got it. Now we're ready to roll. Jeff, man, what's going on? How are you? Did you have a good weekend? What's up with you?
Yeah, so had a good weekend, other than having to work my life away, basically. But I did get to go see my daughter's dance recital yesterday, which was really good. Yeah, it was really good. She did a great job. She and her little group danced to a car wash, which was pretty cool.
I know that well.
So they did a great job. Talked to them again today, and they had a good weekend. So yeah,
awesome.
Good stuff.
There you go. All right. We are here tonight to talk about tag teams. Now, why we're doing this? Well, I mean, we all like wrestling, right? A lot of us got into wrestling, and myself included, from liking tag teams. Tag teams, it seems like, we're kind of starting to get them in a little bit more. They're working on them in, some of the promotions have really, really good tag teams now. And I'm glad to see it kind of making a comeback. It went away for a little while, especially in certain promotions. They really don't spotlight it as much as they used to. I kind of got into wrestling because of tag team. From back in the 80s, late 70s and 80s, it was huge. And you can see Jeff's going to be popping up pictures of tag teams all over.
Oh, yeah.
There's the Bushwhackers. We all know Luke and Butch. But yes, we are going to get into discussions about all of these tag teams that you are seeing on the screen and much, much more. We want this to be interactive. So you guys that are out in the chat, I will say hello to some people here really quickly. We've got Derek, Jeremy, we've got James, we've got Brandon, we've got, of course, Jeremy as a member of the channel. Anthony Slade, also a member of the channel. Welcome, both of you. Dylan, Brandon, Ryan is here. Bonus Baby is here. Saying good way to spend a Sunday evening playing golf on my tablet, listening to Inside the Ropes, and got the NBA Finals game 2 in the back. You've got a lot going on, dude.
Got a lot going on.
You got a lot going on. Bonkers is here. And I believe, okay. I think I got everybody. Well, welcome. So Jeff has a slate that we're going to do here. We're going to kind of follow a format. And Jeff, where are we going to start with this discussion? Of course, all of us are going to talk about, and again, I want you guys to all chime in out there. So talk about, current stuff or past stuff. Chime in. Let us know what your favorites are as we go through this discussion. So we're going to talk, Jeff, about classic first.
Classic tag team wrestling for the old folks in the room. We'll start looking in the past. So.
All right, so we're gonna go down memory lane here. We're gonna start in the past with the old, and you can see some of them up there. We got the Wild Samoans. I remember very well. I saw many of their feuds. I actually saw my very first, I guess you could call it wasn't really a pay-per-view, but very first large wrestling event I ever went to, the Philadelphia Spectrum. I saw the Wild Samoans, of course, were the champs, taking on the Strongbow brothers. So Jay and Jules Strongbow. I was a big fan of the Strongbow brothers. And, of course, they lost the match, but it was the main event when I went to see them at the Philadelphia Spectrum. We've got Demolition. How could you not like Demolition?
That was for you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Man, dude, I mean, being a Friday the 13th fan, seeing two guys come walking out with hockey masks, black leather, and spikes, yeah, I'm in. And they were, I loved them. Loved their theme song. I could still hear it playing in my head. Of course, you got Harlem Heat there in the middle. You got the Steiner Brothers, the Road Warriors, what a rush. And you've got the Rockers up there as well. So, all right, let's go back in time. And where should we start? Let's start with our guest, Marie. Let's start with Marie. When you started watching wrestling, whenever it was that you did, what got you interested in, and who were some of your favorite classic tag teams?
Well, I mean, I don't know why I want to start off with my age because I have to go back.
No, yeah, we don't talk ages here, especially me.
I mean, I can say this though, that I would have to go I'm a student of the game. So like, I didn't grow up in the 80s and stuff. I grew up in the 90s, we'll say that. But I don't mind going back and watching some of the tag teams that are, around in the classic era. And I think that the classic tag team wrestling is very underrated and no one really understands because they did the most simplest of things just to get over with the crowd, just to get that heat from them, especially from like if they're in like the Memphis territory era, all that kind of stuff. Like I go back and I appreciate all of that. But honestly, like singles wrestling got me into wrestling before tag team wrestling. But I appreciate tag team because of the storytelling that two guys can further their stories and their characters and their layers in order to make like really great magic in the ring. But I do remember like watching, Bret Hart and like the whole entire the Hart family and stuff when they were tag team, and there was just like a very diabolical thing towards like Bret and like I don't know what I want to say Davey. Was he with Davey or he was
Bret and
Anvil.
Jim Neidhart.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. Diabolical there as well. The Von Erichs are always great to be in this tag team discussion, as well as I don't know why I want to bring up Dusty. Everyone brings up Dusty in these things. That's why we have like the Dusty Classic named after him. But generally, just speaking about the classic tag team era, like all of them like deserve some type of praise because they all like filled a role and like a niche to make sure that tag team wrestling was like alive, especially like the Rock and Roll Express. So that's like my take on classic wrestling, tag team wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm called out two great ones for sure. Jeff, I'm going to go to you, and I want to get your take too. So Jeff, of course, was in pro wrestling. So were you ever in tag team matches?
Yes.
Okay.
Quite a few. I always enjoyed them.
Okay, awesome.
Always enjoyed them because it's two people working together. You have a lot more dynamics going on when it comes to what you're doing in the ring, and you've got more people to coordinate things with, that kind of stuff. So always enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the moments where you get the hot tag. Love the momentum builds up to that point and the storytelling. So really enjoyed that. But for me, growing up in the South, seeing a lot of the Rock and Roll Express, seeing some other teams that people won't even know who the heck they are because it was such a small time thing. So I won't even bother people with calling out some of the team names. They were just, teams from there in North and South Carolina. So I got to see a lot of good tag team wrestling. And honestly, when I first started watching wrestling, I was always enamored with tag team wrestling because you've got multiple people working together and seeing some of the cool spots that the teams can come up with and working together and then I think one of the most underrated things when it comes to tag teams are the team finishers, which are really, really cool. I mean, we see stuff like today with the Good Brothers, you have the Magic Killer, you've got all of that, but seeing some of the team finishers were really cool back in the day. So
yeah, absolutely. Oh, and Marie, you might have been thinking of the Superpowers. Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff were a tag team back in the 80s, actually, of all things. And him teaming up with the evil Russian, they were talking about it was the height of the Cold Wars. So Dusty was in some tag teams. And they did that. They would get some singles wrestlers and stick them in tag teams that sometimes you'd wonder why they were there, but they would kind of, I guess, throw it up against the wall and see if it would stick. If it worked out well, then they would go. I mean, Hogan and Macho Man, the Mega Powers, right? They would do that. So yeah, good call. Jeff,
Dusty and Magnum TA.
Dusty and Magnum, yeah, absolutely. Another quick question for you. So how hard is it to, because tag team wrestling always kind of reminded me of like coordinated almost anything. Like if you go watch the Olympics, like coordinated figure skating routines or anything coordinated like that. How hard is it? And how long do you have to train with that partner to get all that stuff down? Because when I watch teams today, right, like you and I do the Impact stuff and we see Saban and Shelley the machine guns, and the moves that they do. It's like, my goodness, how much must they do this? Now, they've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
So they're used to one another. But, newer teams coming up, they've got to find that groove. And a lot of times when we see these new teams on shows, right? Like, I kind of want to say, like, and Tazzy would know this team, Indus Shear, right, is on Raw now. And a lot of people are kind of there. They're criticizing them. Oh, they don't know this. They're not doing this and that. But it takes a long time, I would imagine, to develop that kind of chemistry with another person, right?
It does. And I'll say this too, for people that think that just because you're a really good singles competitor, it means you'd be a good tag team. That's not the case.
Yep.
And I'll say that as respectfully as possible, but it does take time. And I think a lot of it though, people point to the training, but I think a lot of it just has to do with being in the ring in a match environment and learning the other person's move set, their skill set, what things they build up to, how you can enhance that. Because a lot of times with tag team wrestling, it's more of a focus on trying to put the team over as opposed to having an individual be the one that spotlights it. Now, I mean, in some cases with teams, you have one competitor that you can look at and, maybe say, okay, that's a single star down the road. But, when it comes to the teams working together, it's really about, working together, learning how each other operates. And that just comes from working together as much as possible. You can simulate things in a training session all day long, but when it comes to feeding off of that crowd reaction, learning where the crowd wants you to go, that's where you take things. Understanding that dynamic and that psychology. That's really what it's about, and feeding off of that. And when you're a heel team, which of the baby faces you need to get over in the corner and really pound on, and what's getting the biggest crowd reaction, and vice versa. Just understanding how to work together is so important. So it's a lot of chemistry that takes place. I can say that in the tag teams that I've been a part of, 95% of them just so happened the night that I was showing up for the event. It was like, hey, you're tagging with so-and-so tonight. Okay, cool. We've never worked together before, but that's fine. We'll figure it out on the fly. And then, a lot of it is just communication and talking to your partner and understanding what things they like to do and how you can help supplement some other things and enhance that. So yeah, I mean, it is difficult. But if you're the type of wrestler that you're not worried about shining per se, it's about making the team shine, and you'll do well. You'll fit in just fine.
That's awesome. I love the insight. I appreciate that, man. All right, Tazzy, I'm going to go to you. So, tag team wrestling, and again, we're starting kind of back a little ways. So what may have been like your first, look at tag team wrestling when you were growing up watching wrestling? Who were some of the teams that you remember from back in the day when you started watching wrestling, and what attracted you to it?
It's crazy because my first time looking at a tag team match was not even a tag team match. It was a Survivor Series match. So it was like, what the hell is that? Yeah, I did it. What the hell? Like, what's going on? And of course, obviously, you guys know it being the Undertaker and everything. That's how that came about. Yeah, it was like different. I was like, oh, what is this? This is Survivor Series going. I'm like, okay, what's this? What are we doing here? And then, believe it or not, there was another match I saw. I can't remember who they faced. The Road Warriors had a match where you start on the top of, like, it's like a little bridge, if that makes sense. It's like a little bridge, and you guys start on the top. And it was like the Road Warriors against somebody. I think it's for the titles. It was like, it was brutal. It was like blood all over the place. I'm like, ooh, violence. I like this. It's like that. And then obviously I saw them as a normal tag team wrestling. And it was like their their tag team moveset was awesome. Like the Doomsday device. Everybody know about the Doomsday device. It's like, wow, that's literally pick them up and then it was a Hawk goes on the top rope and just like goes like the move was so crazy because all you see is the clothesline and you see the guy like flipping over coming down. Like, wow, is that bad? It's like, yeah. But yeah, like the other tag teams, the Rockers, I liked it. Believe it or not, I can't believe I like the Rockers because you guys know me. I don't like the face tag teams or any faces in general. I always like the heels. The Road Warriors, they wasn't like actually heels. I mean, but there wasn't actually faces either. They look like that tag team. I was like, hey, that's cool. You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, man, there were so many tag teams, and yeah, it was like, believe it or not, the first ever tag team match I saw was a Survivor Series match. How about that?
That's a chaotic one to start with.
That's awesome. And I've got to throw this out too. So,
absolutely.
How many folks on the playground back in the day, after seeing the Road Warriors or Legion of Doom, however you were introduced to them, actually tried that with some of your friends? I will raise my hand first and say that I tried it.
I did. I almost broke my cousin's neck.
I'm sorry.
Yep. Yeah, off the jungle gym, off the monkey bars, and I was one of those kids that tried it. So
I was such a fan of the Strongbows, as I said, that of my best friend growing up. Now, my best friend growing up was I was best friends with a girl that lived next door to me. Her name was Kim. Kim was very much a tomboy, but we would both watch wrestling, and I loved that knee lift that he would do. He would go around doing the Indian, the kind of dance, and then he'd come and do the knee lifts. Well, we're playing, of course, we're not, I was probably maybe 9, 10. We're out on our front yard and we're both pretending to do wrestling moves, right? Well, there's me, and I do the knee lift. I get her right in the stomach with the knee, and she just like, oh my God. And her dad comes out and he's like, all right, that's it, you're done. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I was freaking out. I'm like, I didn't even mean to do, and I just knocked the wind out of her because of where I hit her from. And it's like, and next time I saw him, he's like, no more of that. He's like, no more wrestling. And I'm like, okay. But
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we all kind of did stuff like that. And the playground was an area where you would do really stupid things. So, yes, I think I can certainly remember that. Let me read some comments that we've got out there quickly. We've got, well, you know what, guys in the chat, tell me who your favorite classic team was. Go back to, whatever it was when you were growing up. Who was your favorite team back then? Could be, I mean, for me, 70s, 70s, 80s. You guys could be 90s, 2000s, whenever. Let us know what your favorite tag team is, and we'll read them off. We got some people talking earlier on. Jeremy mentioned the Outsiders, the New Age Outlaws. Billy and Chuck says Charles, Chris Sabin, and Alex Shelley, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Rick and Paul London. The Road Warriors got a few. We've got New Age Outlaws. We've got Demolition, the Heart Foundation, the Legion of Doom, Tony Gurria, and Rick Martel. That's a great one.
Hey, that's a good one.
Good call.
Great one. I love Tony Gurria and Rick Martel. Michael King, good call. The Rockers, the Moondogs, says Michael King. Growing up in the 80s, I was always glued to the TV watching Lance Russell and Dave Brown covering matches with the Fabulous Ones, Moondogs, and the Sheep Herders. Awesome. Nice. Love it. The Bolos, the Assassins, Sergeant Slaughter, and Don Kernoodle. Oh, my gosh. That's a blast from the past. I love it. First ever wrestling match I came across on TV. NWA Saturday Night, 1981. A tag team match. The only person I remember from the match, though, is Steve O. So I've always liked him. That's how I remember watching guys like SD, Special Delivery Jones. Tony Atlas teamed up quite a bit, both of those guys. SD was a pretty much a career jobber, but he was great with Tony Atlas in that tag team. So, yeah, absolutely. The Road Warriors, the Super Medics, Puerto Rico, Batista and Ray. Hello, John Grega, SD Jones, and Rufus R. Freight Train Jones. Nikolai Volkov and Iron Sheik. Oh, yes. Yes, I remember those. Let's see, Midnight Express. Mark and Jay Youngblood, Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen, the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, Powers of Pain, the Killer Bees, Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express, Eaton and Lane, Rock and Roll Express again. We got PYTs, Norville, Austin, and Coco Beware. Yes. Mark, no problem, man. It's all good. 80s heels, the Four Horsemen, Flair, Anderson, Blanchard, and Wyndham. Faces, the Von Erichs. American Males, great tag team, said Derek Fleming. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all had to start somewhere. And, you know, some of us got attracted to this for different reasons. And as Jeff brought up, I just love what he was saying about the coordination. And how long that takes. People have to realize that. And I think a lot of times when we watch wrestling today, right, I think we get very impatient. And I think we want things to just happen, right, overnight. All right, let's go. Why isn't this working? Why are that? And then we get the word I hate, the B word. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not even going to mention it. That's how much I hate it. You guys all know what I'm talking about. But, you know, so many people call that out, right? And listen, you know, like Jeff had just said, and I hope that you know, kind of teaches a little bit of how hard this is. You're not just working yourself, but you're working with another person. And that when you see these teams, and you know, I go back to Saban and Shelley. I go back to some of the other teams that we watch a lot. That takes years and years and years of familiarity between those two. Marie, I see you shaking your head, so I know you hear some of the same stuff that I do.
Yeah, man.
Marie was doing a lot of stuff with she was very much into like AEW, doing a lot of stuff for them, and stuff. But you know, talk about that a little bit, like what, because I know you agree. You know, and I think wrestling fans, we just don't give things time, and tag teams take time. It's just that they just do.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything takes time. Even if you're a singles wrestler going into tag team or tag team going into singles, like it takes a lot of time. Like, sure, everyone starts out with the fundamentals because everyone starts at like the bottom of the bottom and then they work their way up and then they find their personality, they find their character. But sometimes that doesn't happen overnight because sometimes you know, depending on like who's mentoring them or whatever they're thinking, they might still be stuck in this box and don't know how to like go from point A to point B sometimes, but sometimes it happens. There's like luck in this business. There's like a whole bunch of factors. And for us, like we have to be patient. I'm gonna say that most of the time I'm not patient, but I can see like how much effort these guys put in. So I can appreciate that along the way, because when the payoff happens, we're all gonna be cheering for them. But at the beginning, I'm still impatient, but I'm still gonna cheer for them no matter what. I just think that like it takes time. It takes effort, dedication, and you have to train with the person. Like I see it sometimes, and I really don't want to get to like an AEW thing, but like if you know, actually, you know what? I'm gonna say this in general for all the wrestlers out there to actually like hear me out. If you know you're wrestling somebody for the first time and you have a little bit of downtime before you have to get to the next city or you have to get to the next like media call or whatever it is, if you know you have enough downtime and your opponent has enough downtime, go find a gym, go find a wrestling ring and have a couple sparring matches. Don't have like a full-blown, you know, match 1, 2, 3 and get hurt. Have a small little try-on match. That's stupid brain, but you guys know what I mean. Like a little sparring lesson between you guys, form that chemistry, form that bond, so that way when you talk about what you want to do and like how you want to present the story, it will flow that much better. If you guys want to stop with, you know, the B word that don't like to be said on here, if you guys want to stop with those little mini videos, you guys have to train. There is no excuse. You have to do this at a professional level. Like all of us here giving you this entertainment, talk about tag teams, we're all professionals. We know what we're doing. So if you're a professional wrestler, just be professional about it and go train. It just gets me riled up to be like, bro, like just train a little bit. You have to fit that in. You can't just go and be like, oh, we're just gonna go. That's it. You know?
Yeah. It's a heck of a lot different and less of an excuse, I would say, for the folks that were watching on television compared to when I was wrestling. because we were meeting up once a week, maybe twice a month sometimes, to wrestle a match at an armory or at wherever in front of about 50 people. So, you know, most of us we weren't able to get together like that. But if you have that downtime, like Marie said, taking the time to talk, even if it's just talking, understanding what the other person likes to do, because most of us have that foundation of training, understanding what the other person's character is, what they like to do, when they like to kind of move in certain ways when it comes to, you know, getting to a finish or getting to a certain spot. Understanding those things is so vitally important. And I think that people, because, and not to sound like the old guy, but because of the fact that people are quote unquote hip to the game and they think they understand the business ins and outs because they follow a couple people on social media and they heard some insider terms and read an article or heard a podcast or something like that. They think they know it all when it comes to what goes into building a match. People don't understand how much it takes going into like a 5-minute match, let alone an Iron Man match or, you know, a tag match or something like that. So a lot of people, a lot of fans have to understand that things take time. We want things instantly because of the society that we're in today. We're in this microwave society, but things take time, and especially good things. If it's going to be worth anything, it's going to take a little bit of time to build the chemistry and to make everything gel together.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point by both of you. Yeah, it's a thing. And look, I get it. We live in a generation where we want instant gratification, and that it's just how it is. And so, you know, it does work both ways. The wrestlers have to have the dedication to it. If they know that they're, you know, ahead of time, and they do, they're getting written into storylines as a tag team. So they're going to know that they're going to be together, right? And if and whether it's that they're trying them out to be together, or whether it's they're you know, they're going to be together for just one match, whatever the case might be, yeah, they have to dedicate the time to it. Absolutely. Because if you just go into it, you know, with no practice, no anything, and thinking, well, I'm a good solo wrestler, it's just going to work. It's not, and it's going to show. You're gonna see mistakes. You're gonna see things messed up. It's just simply because they don't know what each other's doing, and it's simple human error. On the other hand, when you see the ones that are practiced, they're seasoned, they know each other's every single move, you will then see tag team matches like, and I go back to this one with Jeff. When Jeff first got me watching Impact, when we started the podcast 3 or 4 years ago, the Machine Guns Against the North, their programs that they ran, those matches were incredible. And it's because they both knew each other so well. The partners knew each other so well. They practiced together. I'm sure they spent a lot of time together. A lot of them travel together. They're on the road together. They get to know each other, not just in the ring, but out of the ring as well. And that's important. And I think, you know, again, in today's wrestling world too, I think the ones that are successful are going to be those, because you're going to just be able to tell. And to that end, I'm going to go to Tazzy. Tazzy, you do a lot with NXT. He's been doing watch-alongs with NXT and stuff like that. We know what NXT is. Essentially, it's kind of a developmental show, or developmental league was what they refer to it as sometimes for WWE. What do you see when you do your watch-alongs for NXT? What do you see when you see some of these up-and-coming tag teams? Can you tell, like, when they're kind of just first starting and making some of those mistakes and things like that, as opposed to when they've been together for a little while and then you start to see them rise up, and and then they're ready to pretty much go to the main roster?
Yeah, where you get to, let's start with the tag teams that has been up through the system and already up with WWE roster from NXT. The Street Profits, they wasn't that good. They was that good at all. They was like very green. The war. Oh, sorry, I always call them War Raiders. Oh, my bad.
That's all good. It's all good.
The Viking Raiders, the same thing. Tag teams, the Creed brothers. they was very green when Rocky Strong was with them. Very green, and they're brothers. So it was like, and then yeah, it's like that. Even the women tag teams that they're bringing up now, like the Aladana and
Alba
Fire, who they knew each other, but they didn't know each other as a tag team. And you could tell when they first started, it was like, okay, this might work. This, you know, when they're up to the main roster. There's a reason why Triple H got them up there, because that tag team were a little odds and ends. They could probably be one of the best tag teams, women tag teams there. Of course, you got the new tag team champions, Ronda Rousey, and that's a scary tag team. But yeah, I mean, even tag teams from like back in the day, that you guys remember the whole bar when they first started.
The bar,
they get terrible. They get terrible. It took a while. It takes some time. It takes time. Got to be patient, like we just talked about. We just got to be patient with stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it's you can tell in NXT what tag teams are brand new. I think they got a new tag team called Hank and Take now. Which is very
it is.
It's going to take time for them. Yeah, it takes time. That's all. It takes time.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's really like, again, Marie's point's valid in the fact that they've got to get to know one another. They've got to take that time. They've got to take that time out of the ring and in the ring to get to know one another in order to be successful at it. If they don't want to do that, and if they're not determined to do it, they're not going to be successful. They're not going to be one of the big tag teams. They're not going to hold the gold. And if they do, it's not going to be for very long. It's kind of like, you did see a lot of this back in the 80s where they would take a guy, and we mentioned it earlier. They would take someone like Hulk Hogan, team him up with Macho Man. Well, these are two of the biggest stars in the world at the time. Let's just throw them in the ring together. Does that mean it's going to work? Probably not, because the two of them are so used to doing things on their own that to get them in there. And at that time, and honestly, I probably don't think they even cared, because they were getting ratings, they were getting money, because these guys were just so big. And it didn't matter that if they were going to work in the ring or not. They probably just told them, just go do your thing. And that was it. But, even more recently, like in the 90s when they had Undertaker and Kane, the Brothers of Destruction, right? Even when they started off, go watch some of their earlier matches. Not so good. Not so good. And they're both tremendous wrestlers. They're both big men. But that is not easy to just take those two, throw them in a ring and say, whoop, here you go. It does take a lot of work. And Jeff alluded to that too. And I love the input from Tazzy. Watching these younger teams grow and coming up through the system, it's very rewarding then when you see them start to do well. And sometimes it takes years. Sometimes they don't end up getting up to that level for 3-4 years sometimes. But the thing is, they stick with it. How many of these teams you see just don't last? They come up, they do their thing, and it's just like, whoop, gone. Indus Sher was gone. They were okay in NXT, and then they were just gone. You didn't see them. They split up. They had that one wrestler come that they teased him forever and ever and ever, brought him up, and then he was terrible. And then they got rid of that. Back again as Indus Sher. So, like I said, it's a wonderful thing when it works. When it doesn't, and it doesn't always, you can really see it. It's one of the, you're going to probably notice that more in a tag team than you're going to notice in a singles match, because the things that the tag teams have to do, coordinate it and stuff like that, you don't get away with it. If you can't do it, or if you don't work on it, it's not going to work. So, all right, let's move on. We're going to go to, so that was basically our thoughts on tag team wrestling. We looked at some classic stuff. You guys are still calling out some things. DX 06 and 09, of course, the D-Generation X. Los Guerreros. 2000s heel evolution faced the Hardys. Powers of Pain, the Blackjacks. The Brothers of Destruction, of course, Edge and Christian. NWO facing the Hart Foundation, Honky Tonk and Greg Valentine. Oh my God, I hated them. I hated Honky Tonk Man so badly, and Greg Valentine was right up there too. Did not like either one of them, but that's a great call out. Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig, the Killer Bees. B. Brian Blair. Yes, I remember Evolution, of course. Mid-South, Jake the Snake Roberts and the Barbarian. Mid-South version, not WWF. They did a vignette using rats. Lay it down. Oh, that's awesome. We had, let's see, the Brain Busters. Toss up between the Undisputed Era and the Wyatt family face the Shield. We have the Beautiful People. Hank and Tank are funny, like Heavy Machinery was. Does anyone know when the tag team first came up and how they came as a wrestling term, or how that?
I'll send you some information, Mark.
There you go.
I'll send you some information.
There you go. Jeff's going to talk to you. Strike Force, Tito Santana and Rick Martel. Jack and Jerry Briscoe. The Briscoes, absolutely. RVD, Sabu from EC Dub. Yes, all awesome. All right. Let's go to our next part of our discussion, and we're
going to make people put their shout outs into a top 5 list.
All right, let's do it.
And I'm sorry, I know it's tough. I'm having trouble even right now figuring out who I'm going to leave out.
Oh my God! Yeah, this is going to be a hard one, guys. But I don't even know. Oh my God, it's just going to be a hard part of the show.
It's so tough.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So, all right, top 5 time, guys. So here's the way we're going to do this. We're going to do it similarly to the way we do our top 3 moments of the week. Don't give me all 5 because there's no way I'm going to catch up to all that. Give me number. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right?
Okay.
So come up with your top 5 in the chat. Give me your number 5 first, and we'll do all the number 5. So that's how we're going to go. Who am I putting on the spot? I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. Who's ready? Who's got their list? Let me have your number 5.
I have my list.
All right. There, Marie's prepared. There you go. Marie's prepared. Marie, who's your number 5?
Oh, my God. All right. So my number 5 is going to be Gorillas of Destiny, Tamatanga, and Tangaloa.
Oh,
wow.
Very nice. Very nice. You got to explain why. Why'd you pick them?
Okay. Well, I was going to say they're both great tag teams. They, as we all know, they're no longer part of Bullet Club, but when they were in Bullet Club, they definitely meant business, and they definitely held those IWGP World Heavyweight Tag Team Championships a lot of times during their time in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They command the ring, they command the crowd, and they definitely make sure to get the victory over their opponents anytime. And even in defeat, they look like champions.
Yes. Yeah. Man, great call. Absolutely great call. All right. Who am I putting on the spot? Circle gets the square in the right-hand corner. Tazzy, you're up.
That's funny. My number 5 tag team is, I think, is one of the best from WCW, and that is Harlem Heat. Harlem Heat. Oh my God, that team was so so synced, and it's like in their promos. Minus one. Their promos.
Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you.
Oh my God.
It's just like, and it was. Here's the crazy part. They wasn't even from Harlem. That's the crazy part. They was from Houston, Texas. And it's Houston, Texas. So it's like you sit there like. You believed them. You believed it was from Harlem because the way they was talking. Of course, I don't know how the people talking. I'm from California, so I don't know.
But he assumed he knew that they were talking from Harlem. Yeah.
But hey. I have a couple of friends that's from Harlem, and that's how they talk. So hey,
I mean, I'm from out here too. I'm from New York as well.
New Yorker. There you go.
There you go. It's most of the time, like. Even characters in general, like solo or tag teams, you got to be believable. Otherwise, nobody. If you don't believe yourself, nobody else will believe you. Look at that.
Yep.
Their tag team. I forgot how many times they had. I think there was about four or five tag WCW tag teams.
Something like
that.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, man. The Harlem Heat.
All right, there you go. I would almost venture to guess that they might be on Jeff's list too.
Oh yeah,
I'm just throwing it out there. Okay, all right, man. Go ahead, dude. What's your number 5?
Tell you another WCW team that is on my list. That is the team of stunning Steve Austin and
Ooh,
Brian Pillman,
yes,
the
Oh my
Hollywood
God.
Blondes.
yes.
Oh my God.
That they were one of my favorite teams. Loved those guys. Loved how cocky and arrogant they were. And I mean, come on now, stunning Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Steve Austin was the man even then. I mean, from a technical aspect, he was great. Yep, there.
Yeah, he really was.
He was great then, and and Brian Pillman was just the wild card. So I really loved them. I'll say this: WCW, which me being a Southern guy, I watched a lot of WCW, and to me they had the one of the best divisions for tag team. I mean, just bar none. At that point, I put their tag teams over WWF, but I was biased. So, but yeah, Hollywood Blondes are my number 5.
I'm probably gonna end up going modern backwards. So that's probably gonna be the way it's gonna go for me. I'm gonna go 90s here, and I'm only doing this because when they got together, there was mayhem and chaos in WCW, and and listen, I'm going with them because they're pretty close to our heart. The
Yeah, they are.
Outsiders. Notice our name and where we got it from. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I mean, come on. 2 of the all-time greats from WWE coming up through the system, and we just lost Tazzy. Boop. Tazzy
He'll be right back.
Okay.
He was glitching a little.
He was like he was going really, really fast before. I was watching him in the window. He was like speeding all over the place. But
befitting of his name.
Yes. But I mean, 2 great wrestlers in their own right. One a giant of a man, the other one, of course, one of the best of all time. And when they came in the way that they did, and of course Scott Hall showing up first over there, and I was watching WCW with great interest. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know what it was going to be, and watching that, and then that whole thing starting from where it did and where it ended up into one of the best factions of all time, the NWO. Seeing those 2 and seeing Hall coming up and interrupting the broadcasts and going after Bischoff and stuff like that, tremendous. And then when he brought out his friend, and you see the big man walk out, and it's Kevin Nash, you're like, wow, like it was just, it floored me, because I was like, man, these guys are huge WWE guys, and it was maybe the first time, and we're seeing a lot more of this now with AEW, with New Japan, with Impact, that they call it the Forbidden Door. It was kind of the first time where you thought in the back of your mind, because we didn't know what was going on. There was no social media. We didn't know. We didn't get the spoilers. There was no dirt sheets. All we knew was that 2 guys who were wrestlers in WWE were all of a sudden on this show, and they were saying they were invading Nitro. We had no idea they were signed there. We had no idea they left. And that's what made it so cool. You're like, oh my gosh, these guys are from WWE and they're over here. What the hell are they doing there? And it was so captivating and so cool. You couldn't miss an episode. You had to watch each week to see what was going to happen next. And in the ring, the 2 of them had a lot of chemistry. They were good friends. They knew each other very well. I'm sure they worked on it. They were just very good in the ring. Scott Hall with his style, of course, one of the greats in the ring. And Kevin Nash, when he just came in, just overpowered his opponents. So that one for me is my number 5. I think
Joe, just to add to your point, talking about no social media. We weren't going to pay the 99 cents per minute for Mean Gene's 900 hotline. Nope. None of us were going to do that.
That's very true.
I remember one time I was watching wrestling. My mom was there, and I went to grab the phone because the number popped up on the screen, and she looked at me and she said, "I wish you would."
Oh my
God. Now. Many of you may not know what that means, but to a black mother, I wish you would mean if you do it, I'm gonna put my foot so far somewhere that you won't be able to walk. So just saying. She said, I wish you would, and I hung up the phone. So
I did it one time. And when my father got the good old bill coming in from AT&T or wherever it was back then, Bell Telephone maybe, when he saw that bill, he's just my father used to call me Josie, and I knew I was in trouble. And he's like, Josie, what are you doing with this? What is this phone bill? And he flipped out. And I'm like, oh no. And it wasn't just, I didn't just stay on for a quick, oh no. I was on there for like a good 15 minutes, and it was like $45 or $50, and the bill was like double what it normally was. Yeah, that was the last time I ever did that. But yeah, you're right. That's a great call. That's all we had. We had no dirt sheets. We had none of that. We had Mean Jeans, 99 cents a minute. So yes, good. It's a great call. Oh man. All right. Let's see what some people have for their number fives. Let's go up and down the list here since we gave all of ours. We have Bonus Baby saying The New Day. We have John G saying Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. We have Alexa Bliss Gamer saying The Bar. Great tag team. I'd love to see them get back together. They're awesome. The Dudley Boys at number 5. Okay. One of the greats. We have, let me see if I have any more fives up there. I think did I get them all? Who didn't give me your number fives? People are at 3 and 2. Don't go so fast. We're still at 5. James Grant saying Harlem Heat is his number 5. Okay. You want a war? You got a war. Love it. Love it. When Scott Hall showed up on Nitro, I had just read an article that said wrestling was losing ground to UFC and may have to do something drastic. I thought WCW, WWF are banding together. Yeah, like you just didn't know. But you see, and I had to put this out on our channel. You see how cool it is not having the dirt sheets. You see how much cooler it makes it when you just don't know. And you're not privy to all that information. When something cool happens, it makes it that much better. And I know a bunch of people retweeted it out and stuff like that, but it's true. All you have to do is look back at some things like this, and you know that's it. It just is. It just makes it so much better because you're surprising yourself. It's like going to a movie and knowing spoilers. It's going to ruin it, you know? So, yeah, man, absolutely. Barry Monkey from Twitch, hello, saying Alpha Academy is his number 5. Number 5 for Bonkers LFC is Hollywood Blondes. Jeremy agreeing with me and saying the Outsiders. Tazzy, you're still moving very quickly. Tazzy looks like one of those things from Jacob's Ladder. Remember Jacob's Ladder, Jeff? Those guys freaked out, man. Yeah, freaked out. That movie's very crazy. If you never saw it, all right.
That movie got to me.
That movie really was a psychological, crazy thing. Yes. All right, let's go to number 4, shall we? We will start at number 4. I will go back to Jeff. Jeff, what's your number 4, man?
This is tough because I'm at that point where I want to include a couple of newer teams,
right?
But they just are outside of my top 5. Like I'll say Motor City Machine Guns. I really want to include them, but they're just outside of my top 5.
Okay.
So I guess for me, number 4, I have to say, even though they did my boy dirty, the Freebirds. And I think one of the reasons why I have them there, and yeah, they did Junkyard Dog dirty. You'll do yourself a favor and go back and look at that feud from back in the day. Absolutely phenomenal. They blinded Junkyard Dog, and yeah, just go take a look.
I remember YouTube. That. Yeah.
But yeah, so they honestly revolutionized how tag team matches are done when it comes to factions. You've got the Freebird rule. So a lot of people talk about the Freebird rule. That's where it came from the Freebird. So
yes.
So yeah, they were great though. Michael P.S. Hayes, always loved him even when I didn't like them. But always loved him. Freebirds for me, number 4.
Awesome. I'll give you my number 4. I'm gonna go with the Soul Patrol. Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas. Rocky Johnson, Rock's dad, was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. Loved Rocky Johnson. The personality he displayed, some of the things he did were things just, I just did not see much when I was watching WWF back in the day. He had some great moves. He had such charisma about him. You could see where The Rock gets it from. You really can. Go back and watch some of Rocky's matches and you'll see. Amazing charisma. And then, of course, with Tony Atlas, one of the biggest dudes out there then. Super strong. All knew about his weightlifting background and things like that. Just an unbelievably built dude. And when these two guys got together, and let me tell you, I wanted the Samoans to lose so badly. And when these two beat them for those titles, I honestly think it may have been the first time I stood up and cheered when I was watching wrestling on TV back when I was that young to remember. What a great team these two were. And again, this is at a time where the only wrestling I was able to see for the most part was Saturday morning. When you saw the old WWF stuff, Saturday morning wrestling. And then again, you get the highlights of what went on during the past week on Monday night with Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon and all the stuff that was taped and everything like that back then. So that was really the only time I would see them would be on Saturday morning show. And they wouldn't wrestle every single week. You got a literal hour on a Saturday to watch. But what an amazing tag team and amazing chemistry these two men had. And again, just when I found out that The Rock came in later on, and of course he was Rocky's son, I'm like, wow, man, this kid's gonna have it. He's gonna be good. Just from the fact that I remember watching his dad and how good his dad was, and coming from that lineage, I'm like, man, The Rock's gonna be amazing. And sure enough, he absolutely was. So the Soul Patrol for me is my number 4. Let me go to Marie. Marie, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is Edge and Christian. Just because they gave us timeless classics and they reinvented themselves every single time. So, beside the classics, we also got like the 5-minute poses that they all used to do. Take stuff. They really gave us a lot of deep storytelling during that time of their run. But yeah, Edge and Christian is my number 4.
One of the absolute best. Absolute best. Their matches are just all highlights. You go back and watch some of the stuff they did. The ladder matches that they were involved in are some of the best matches you will ever see. And those two guys are just phenomenal together. And again, goes back to what we talked about earlier. They traveled together. They were on the road together. They knew each other extremely well, and you could see it. Just one of the absolute best, and it's cool to see that both of them are still around today. Edge obviously still wrestling after that injury that everybody thought he was finished, and Christian is in AEW doing really well there. So it's great to see that they're still out there. But an absolute historic tag team, historic. Tazzy, go ahead, man. What's your number 4?
I'm gonna break the rules. I'm going 4A and 4B.
Hey,
there you go. There you go.
Our show, man. Break the rules all you want.
The main reasons why, because, well, quite frankly, I'm running out of rules with the top 5. But anyways, this is probably the only face tag team you're going to see me say on here. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, maybe. Number 4A will be the Steiner brothers. These Steiner brothers, oh my God, they're brothers. Who you expect? The tag team action they did and being tag team champions too. This is before Scott was
Big Papa Pump.
Jacked.
Yeah.
Like what are you doing? Like
before Big Papa Pump.
Before Big Papa Pump. So the Steiner brothers. Now, my 4B. I gotta do it because quite frankly, I have to. Los Guerreros, Eddie and Chavo. Oh my God, the tag team wrestling that you didn't know what was going to happen during the match. You can hear somebody just like lying, cheating still the whole time. It's so magical of a tag team. Of course, they Chavo being Chavo, being the the evil nephew, messed everything up. But when it was tag team, they was a great tag team, and there was great heelish tag teams. So number 4A.
4A and
is
4B.
4A, the Steiner Brothers. 4B, the one and only Los Guerreros.
Oh man, absolutely, yeah, amazing.
Perfect.
Both teams are amazing. Love it. Love that 4A and B. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Alexa Bliss Gamer saying the Usos at number 4. Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero. There you go. James Grant, number 4. Mark saying my number is this, and you probably know who I'm talking about. What a rush! Yes, we do know who you're talking about. Edge and Christian. Dylan agrees with Marie. We've got Bonus Baby saying the Lucha Brothers. John G saying Edge and Christian. Number 4 comes from the women's side. Yeah, it gets a great point, Mark. We gotta get some women tag teams in here too. The Iconics. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely wonderful women's tag team. Yes. The Head Shrinker saying Jeremy. Okay, number 4. Bonker saying Motor City Machine Guns. Eddie and Ray saying Brandon Davey. Okay. All right, there you go. We are up to our number 3. Number 3. So let me start with this time. I'll start with Tazzy since I'm ending with Tazzy all the time. Tazzy, who's your number 3?
I gotta do something about this camera eventually. You guys can hear me right though.
We can hear you.
Okay, it must be the camera. All right, my number 3 is the one and only. Oh, you didn't know?
Oh,
You didn't know? Somebody.
Oh, hold on. I got something for
Jeff
that.
might have that.
Oh, okay.
Or does he?
You gotta love technology.
Did it not play?
Nope.
Of course it did.
Technology. Oh.
You better call somebody.
I'm over here jamming out to it, and no one else can hear it. So I was like, I'm good. I just heard it. So
when is it coming?
So we talked about the made up tag teams, right? Like this was another tag team. I mean, Billy Gunn actually had a tag team before this with the Smoking Guns. So that was a good tag. I think there was tag team champions too. So he was a tag team champion before that. And then you add Road Dogg, who was about to get fired before this happened, and then added that to the DX marker. It was like match made in heaven. Now, yeah, man. Their mic skills is great. Well, one of their mic skills is great. I was just impressed with them, man. It was like their moveset was great. Billy Gunn, badass Billy Gunn. Before he was Censor Me Daddy, he was the badass one. So I can't believe how good he's been. He's so underrated. It's not even funny. Billy Gunn. It's not even funny. But that is my number 3.
All right, man. Number 3. Let me go to Jeff, man. What is your number 3?
I'm gonna pull a Tazzy. And
not
only am I going to pull a Tazzy, I'm going to go even further than that. I'm going to go A, B, and C.
Oh, man. Okay.
just because I feel like, I don't know, with these teams, to me, it feels like they have to be grouped together because for me, they did similar things in terms of changing tag team wrestling. They each changed it in different ways. So I'm going to start with my 3A, the Steiner brothers.
Oh, yeah.
My 3B would be the Hardys. And then my 3C is going to be another group of brothers, the Dudleys.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, so those are my 3 threes right there.
Well, they almost kind of
the Dudleys and the Hardys. Yeah.
They're almost a lot of it's synonymous with one another. They wrestled each other many, many times. So yeah, absolutely, dude, absolutely. Well, since we're going the AB route, I may do that too. There's just too many. You know what it is? There's just too many to keep like to 5. And yeah, I'm starting here, and I'm not just doing this because of the. I'm not just doing this because of the association with our channel, but yes, that's part of it. I am going with listen. Take two people. Tell them they are heels from the superpower in the 80s that you absolutely hate. Every American hated Russia. Every American hated Russia, right? And when you get Nikolai Volkov coming out in the all red and the little red hat and the Russian flag and making you stand up for the Russian national anthem, you want to talk about creating nuclear heat? Well, there you go. That'll certainly do it. And the other gentleman, well, you know, we may have had him on our show a while back, Jeff.
Yeah, he's a dear friend of the channel and a dear friend of mine. So
yes, was amazing chatting with him. And if you didn't listen to that interview, go back a ways and go back to listen at the beginning of our channel. One of the best interviews that we've done. And listen, the insights he provided to us about how things were back then and the way that they played their characters. And you know, that story he told us, Jeff, about when they almost got stabbed, people literally going after them with knives because they played their characters so well that, you know, people were literally thinking that they were these Russian guys that were coming in to just, you know, to try to mess up the people from the United States. It's amazing. And they were just, you want to talk about heel heat? I'm telling you, man, they come out and you could not hear anything but boos in that crowd. And they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Everyone hated them. And until you had, you know, the people who were the American heroes that would come in and take them down, was just absolutely fantastic and a fantastic tag team. And then I have a B. My B is going to be one guy was an amazing singles wrestler almost his entire career. You pair him up with a man who was a fantastic wrestler. One was strategic, the other was muscle. I'm talking about the guys in pink, the Hart Foundation. Amazing chemistry between these two. And the thing was, Bret Hart, we all know who Bret Hart is. We all know where Bret Hart's career went. Jim the Anvil Neidhart never really stood out much as a singles wrestler. He did most of his work in this tag team, but he was absolutely amazing as the muscle of the two. Bret Hart, the strategic guy, Neidhart, the muscle, and they were just an absolutely amazing tag team together. And really just fantastic the way that they worked together. And again, we all know where they came from. You know the stories about the Hart Dungeon, and you know, again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, they probably had a lot of time to get to know each other, practice together, and get this tag team, you know, all ready to go. But the Hart Foundation, absolutely amazing. So, absolutely amazing. Marie, you're number 3.
All right, so I guess in the spirit of everybody doing A, B, C, D, you know, I'm gonna throw it out there because my list is just straight 5 through 1. But for number 3A will be Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. And then for 3B, I have to put in the Briscoes, dumb boys in there with Mark and late Jay Briscoe. I remember, like, you know, watching their careers like unfold from start all the way, you know, to now. I remember seeing like Motor City Machine Guns at like a Ring of Honor back in the day, as well as the Briscoes. And like those are like some really cherished memories that I have of them. And then, like, you know, Motor City, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley going over to Impact, doing their thing at Impact, still doing their thing at Impact, which shows you like the longevity of like doing that for so long. But the great storytelling, the great character development, like I love like all 4 of these guys like in wrestling.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, man, the 2 members of Motor City Machine Guns are both up for titles. They're both going after titles in this next pay-per-view that Impact's doing. It's crazy. And you're seeing them wrestle some of these new tag teams that are coming into Impact. And, you know, they might be their first ever tag team match on that stage. And to say that you could wrestle those guys, but to just see them work, just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah, great choices. Absolutely great choices.
Yeah. And, all right. And for the folks that are watching that are like, who are these Motor City Machine Guns?
You really need to watch.
You got to watch.
YouTube is your friend. Go look up a Motor City Machine Gun match. They have about 20 years worth of a catalog
Yeah.
to check out. So just pick some. And if you're more into the recent stuff and you want to see them with recent matches, go look at the one they just had on Impact last week against Subculture.
Oh my
Tremendous,
gosh.
tremendous tag match last week. So
Yes. Check out some of their matches I mentioned earlier, the ones that they had against the North. Josh Alexander and Ethan Page. Tremendous. You can almost literally, I don't think I've seen, watching Impact, for the last 3-4 years, I don't think I've seen them have bad matches. I do not think I've seen.
They really don't.
they don't.
And even if they're in there with somebody who may not be as, necessarily as good as they are, they're just going to make them look good. And that's just how it is. They're amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Joe, you just helped me figure something out. You want to know why my comeback was unsuccessful?
Why is that?
Because I didn't wrestle either of those guys. They would have made me look like $1 million. They would have made me look like $1 million. So I mean, that's where I messed up. That was my bad. I didn't reach out.
There you go. All right, number 3's in the chat. We've got Derek with Edge and Christian. Alexa Bliss Gamer says DIY. Beer Money, number 3. Beer Money's amazing.
Oh, that was so great.
Amazing. Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young, says Charles Alford. Nice, throwing in the women's team there. Death Dolls, Bonus Baby, throwing in the tag team there too. I love, Death Dolls are awesome. I love Rosemary. Of course, everybody knows she's one of my favorites. The New Age Outlaws, says Jeremy. We've got the Hardy Boys. We're going A and B in the chat now too. We got them started. The Hardy Boys, and then the Dudley Boys are his A and B. Derek says FTR. Oh, amazing tag team. Them Boys and the Usos are his A, B, and C. Good job. Awesome. All great teams. WWE needs to make another tag team title, like AEW, make a 3-person tag team title. Hey, I'd be down for listen. Anything WWE could do to improve their tag team division, I'm all for. They were known for that, right? Back in the 80s, they were known for that. They've gotten away from it, and I don't like it. I've been an advocate of that. I think they should get back to it. They have a big roster. It's a very easy way to trim a roster down, too. You get 2 guys working together, and it's one less spot you have to take to put somebody on TV. So they need to go back to that. They really do. They were born into that, and that's what they should continue to do. Lance Storm was in a tag team. I'll recap my top 5 at the end of the show. So Brandon, Scott, Tony Khan, Motor City Machine Guns versus FDR. Make it happen. Brian says the British Bulldogs. Bulldogs are amazing too. Yeah, awesome. All right, we're gonna go to number 2. Number 2. Let's start with. I'll start with Jeff. Jeff, who's your number 2?
Oh, number 2. I won't go A, B, or C this time. I'll just do a number 2. And I've already people will know who my number 1 is, and I'll explain that in a bit. But number 2 for me, Legion of Doom, Road Warriors. Not necessarily in ring, but just their persona, what they meant to tag team wrestling. And honestly, with teams like them, you started to get this kind of shift where the teams were larger than life. You had people like Hulk Hogan, you had Macho Man, the singles competitors that were larger than life. But then with teams like that, you really started to get these teams that felt the same way, that were big in their own right. So yeah, number 2 for me, the Road Warriors. Loved Animal and Hawk. Yeah,
absolutely. Seeing that out in the chat already too. We'll go to Marie. Marie, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis of the United Empire.
Great call.
So like my first time ever seeing them was when I was live and one of my fans was like, hey, check out this match. And I was checking out the match, and it was Aussie Open versus the Velocities. And that was a 40-minute match. And I was like, these guys are still going. So like I became an instant fan after watching that, and then like all of their stuff from like New Japan and like on AEW and stuff. You would think that like that kind of dynamic like may not work or might get stale, because you would think that like, you know, the big guy's gonna come in, just do muscle, the smaller guy's gonna take all the bumps and like do all the high flying stuff, and it won't like match or anything. No, these two guys like have this amazing chemistry. I'm happy that they're in wrestling. I'm happy that they get the titles, even though they had to relinquish it. But you know, either way, they're like making names for themselves. So Aussie Open is my number 2 pick.
They're a great tag team. We've seen them in
Right.
Impact many times, and yeah, absolutely, they're an awesome tag team. And they're in AEW now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they signed. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great addition for them to their team tag team landscape. All right, Tazzy, number 2.
Oops, I did it again. Number two, A, B, and C.
Oh my God.
I'm running out of room, literally. One, I have to put the machine guns in there. I have to. It's a must. The other one is I'm NXT, so I had to include them. DIY, come on now, DIY. You know
There you go.
They're good separately, but they're great together. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Oh, okay. I got it. I was like, wait, what? I got it.
And finally, I have to put the Road Warriors in here because, first of all, when I first saw them, I was like, why did they got football pads on? Wait, what? They got spikes on? Can you imagine football players doing that and have spikes? Like,
oh my God.
It'd be bad. Okay. The Road Warriors, man. Oh my God. Like I said before, their moveset was great. The personality, the face paint. Everybody wanted to have that face paint. They're like even like the animal one with the little spider right there. Dude.
Yeah.
Warriors.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, my number 2. I have 2 of them. One's already been mentioned twice. The Road Warriors. I can't not. I mean, they were just amazing. And again, give a younger dude what looked like characters out of a movie, essentially. And have them wearing that armor and stuff that looks like they could be in a video game. Yeah, I'm gonna like it. So the Road Warriors. Another one though for me, and I mentioned these guys much earlier in the show. Growing up, when I was a young man, Cowboys and Indians was a thing. I watched a lot of stuff with the Lone Ranger. I grew up with that kind of stuff, and instantaneously attracted me to the Strongbow brothers. Always loved them. Loved watching them wrestle. They come to the ring in full headdresses and things like that, which I thought was really, really cool. And I love the way they wrestled. They just had a different style. They did a thing all their own. Jay and Jules Strongbow, one of the reasons why I love tag team wrestling in my life. So that is my number 2. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Road Warriors looks like it's a big pick for number 2. Hardy Boys and Dylan. James Grant saying Beer Money and the Guns. Jack and Jerry Briscoe, number 2 for Jeremy. Okay. Jake the Snake Roberts and the Barbarian says Bonus Baby is his number 2. Jake the Snake is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Guys, I think we're at our number 1s. Road Warriors turning Sting and driving the spike into Dusty's eye.
Yep. Remember that.
I play. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
All
right.
It didn't just start with Rey Mysterio and Seth
Rollins. That's been going on for a while. It wasn't just Seth Rollins trying to poke people's eyes out. It happened.
No.
I still got that picture, by the way.
This is our all-time number 1 favorite tag team.
Oh, man.
So number 1, guys, let us know what your number 1s are, and we're going to go around and number 1s for us. I think you probably all pretty much figured out what mine is. The fact that I still to this day remember the theme song. Here comes the axe, here comes the smasher, the demolition, walking disaster. I was mesmerized by these 2 men when they came out in those black hockey masks and the black armor. And we know, listen, and there would have been no demolition if it weren't for the Road Warriors, period. There would have been no demolition. But, dude, when these dudes came out, You want to talk about intimidation? And then they rip the masks off and they've got the face paint on underneath. It's just amazing. Amazing. The minute I saw them, I'm like, yeah, okay, this is awesome. And they ran through a gauntlet. They were winning and winning and winning for a while. Certain teams, they just couldn't get over the hump and get past. They did finally win the titles. They didn't hold them long enough, in my opinion, but that's wrestling. But for me, my number one is easy, and it's Demolition. So let me go to Tazzy. Tazzy, what's your number one, dude?
This is going to be very. I have a 1A and 1B. There's a reason for it, though. You guys ready for this? First one, the Wild Samoans.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
It's a must. It's a must. Me growing up in the Bay Area is so Samoan, like, the culture is there.
Yeah.
It's there, and it's like, I mean, The Rock was born here. And we also had Rikishi was actually born right here in San Francisco as well. Which brings me to number one. Number one is the Usos. The reason why is the culture we have out here. If you don't understand it, then you're not going to get it. The culture out here, we went from when they first got there with the little jeans and whatever to
they've come a long way.
They come a long way to the rainbow paint. I don't know what was that, but they still did the thing. They still did whatever. To right now to the bloodline. Wow. And they are the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions of all time. So I am going with the Usos. You might hear this again later on. Just saying.
All right. Let's go to Jeff. What's your number one, dude?
Well, someone brought up this team earlier, and I said it was in my list.
Yep.
And they're at number one. It's Harlem Heat for me. And for me, growing up in the South, growing up as a black man, you didn't see a lot of representation. There were a few moments for me that really stuck out. That was Ron Simmons beating Vader for the title. And that was, I was in tears when that happened. That was such a huge moment. And then seeing Harlem Heat, these two guys come out, minus the small snafu in the promo where Booker T is talking about Hulk Hogan, and if you don't know about it, it's a meme and all that good stuff now, and there are clips on YouTube, so go have fun with that. But honestly, seeing them as a team, and not only that, but being managed by the one and only Sherry Martel.
Mm-hmm.
When she was with it, I mean, they were just unstoppable. So they paved the way for teams like the New Day, for the Street Profits, yes, for many other teams to just be themselves and to be different. Man, that Harlem Heat for me is the tops. And then obviously, for most of the people that watch the show and everything and keep up with us, I met Booker T back in October, and that was just that was such a cool moment for me to be able just to have those few moments with him. It was awesome. So Harlem Heat.
I remember when you sent those pictures over, and I could tell it was a big thing for Jeff when he sent them over. So, yeah, absolutely, that's awesome. All right, Marie, who's your number one?
I like the fact that I'm last because I was gonna have like a big little entrance type of thing for my number one.
There you go.
But I was trying to find the picture to go with it because I do have the picture of We the Ones. But Tazzy already said that his number one is the Usos. My number one is also the Usos. And, I will start some trouble here. So if you guys want to come at me at Twitter, but I still think that the Usos are way better than the Young Bucks. I'm surprised none of us had the Young Bucks on our list. But seriously, the Usos are my number one. It's just that, they got me so immersed in the way they tell stories, and that goes across the board for all the Polynesians that are out there in wrestling. And like, you know, I really do enjoy when they tell stories, because I'm like, I get to be in this, because I can relate to some degree to what they're telling us. And like, you know, everyone says that, oh, the Usos do the same stuff over and over in their matches. Well, if they do everything at 100% super fast and they go through the whole moveset week in, week out, what they're going to do for the pay-per-view? Like, you got to save stuff for the pay-per-view, because that's where you're spending extra money on top of like either streaming services or like cable. You know, you're paying that good extra money to see the good moves. So the Usos know how to adjust on the fly. They know how to bring out their special move sets when their backs are against the wall. I'm really noticing that like certain wrestlers, when their backs are against the wall, that's when their best moves come out. That's when their best storytelling comes out. So, you know, the Usos, we gotta like throw up the ones. I'll throw up the ones just for the Usos, not for Roman. I'm not acknowledging Roman here. I'm only acknowledging I'm only acknowledging Jimmy and Jey Uso. That's all I'm doing. But we're throwing up the ones for the Usos number one right here.
Yes.
I gotta ask, since you said that, I've gotta ask you this question since I haven't had a chance to ask. Do you think that they're the unsung heroes of the Bloodline storyline? Jimmy and Jey.
100%, dude. 100%. Look, man, it's everyone involved, including Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It's everyone that's making all of these moving parts go. And eventually, I was going to mention this, but I'll mention this here, that like, even thinking back after like we just had SmackDown on Friday, the promo of just the Usos and Roman and what Roman did is still playing in my head, especially when he turned to the camera and started talking to us like this. I felt some type of way. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You got me already, but damn, you're talking to me? Like me specifically? Like that was playing in my head as I took a walk earlier, and I'm like, this is just so like beautiful. You know, I give Roman a lot of crap in kayfabe, but like it's all of them. It's a whole big moving part. It's a team, and I always say that in wrestling, it's a team effort. It's not I. The I will always come later on when you're being that individual, but as a team, we all make this whole thing work. And this is why we come together and like talk about it and love it. And that's why wrestlers put themselves through some crazy ass shit. And we're like, yay. And then we're like, please don't die, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all of them.
Yeah.
That whole thing Friday happened 5 minutes from where I work. I was shocked that they had that there. And had I known that was the case, I would have gone. But I was like, yeah, listen. And I've said this to our listeners. You will probably never. It could be in your lifetime. It's definitely probably going to be in mine. See another storyline like this again. I can just tell you that you won't. It's in the time that we live, where again I mentioned it before. Everybody wants instant gratification. They want it now. The Veruca Salt syndrome. I want it now. We're getting this brilliant storyline just continuing. Now you're kind of seeing it set itself up. It's imploding from within, which again, if you've watched any gangster movies in your lifetime, which is where they take a lot of this stuff from, that's how it works. Somebody from within takes out the Godfather. So that's just how it goes. And now it's looking like it's going to be the Usos against Roman and Solo, who is their brother. And eventually Solo's probably going to turn as well somewhere down the road. So it's just brilliant. And a lot of people were saying, it's kind of run its course. It's, I know a lot of people. A lot of people, including myself, weren't happy with the fact that Cody lost at Mania. Jeff will tell you, oh my gosh, I was not happy. I was saying that Cody should have won. Cody should have won. I was pissed.
Joe was hot about that.
But you know what? They got me. They absolutely got me, because I thought for sure the setup was going along where it was his time. Okay, he's going to win. Nope, because they're extending the story. They're gonna implode it first, and now you can kind of see that. You can see the vision. You can see the total picture. Because how did Roman win most of his matches? With those guys coming down to help him. What's going to happen when those guys don't come down anymore? There you go. He's not going to have the backup, right? Heyman certainly isn't going to do it. He'll try, but he's not the muscle. So yeah, listen, the work that those guys are doing, and yes, The Usos, you could put them up against anyone. You want to get a super tag match somewhere? Young Bucks versus the Usos versus Motor City Machine Guns. Throw them all into a ring and just phenomenal. They're just phenomenal at what they do. They're just absolutely phenomenal at what they do. And so, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there's a reason why the Usos carry the tag team titles for as long as they have. And they're just damn good at what they do. Listen, I don't care. You can tell me, like Marie said, you can mention to me they use the same moves, super kicks. They're good at it. Mm-hmm. When they hit those super kicks on Sammy, all those times when they were wrestling those guys, one after another, they look just devastating. The way they do it just looks devastating. And then you see the guys are all like wobbling around after the take. Yeah,
but it's like Marie said though. And I think fans today have made wrestling companies. They've put wrestling companies in a corner and their talent in a corner because they feel like to get more they got to get more eyes on the weekly product. Yes. So I got to give you everything I got on this show that's on cable television. And then when I get to a pay-per-view, I have nothing else except for like something crazy. I mean, and not to poke fun, but an exploding super kick, that kind of thing. And I'm not poking fun. I'm just saying like that. But that's the level that people think you have to get to instead of saying, okay, I'm gonna work this match this way when we're on TV, but when we have a pay-per-view, I'm gonna work it this way.
Yep.
And that I think that's a very old school mentality. When it comes to the Usos and it comes to other teams and singles competitors out there nowadays, it's a very old school mentality, but it's one that still works. You just and I love the fact, talk kind of finishing up about the bloodline. I love the fact that they didn't cave to the fans, because if they had listened to the fans, this would have been over 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago. But they didn't cave to the fans, and they said, we're going to let this thing play out because now it's like, okay, is Roman going to end up in the chair at the head of the table all by himself,
right,
beltless, without Paul Heyman, without everyone that was along with him to bring him up? And what is that going to do to his psyche going forward?
Yep.
I love the seeds that they're planning with all of this.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy because literally the only reason I know this because I know a promoter that's saying that the storyline is probably a year away from ending. It's not going to end right away. It's not going to be. You guys got another year. You got they're probably going to change it too. They're probably going to be like, hey, you know what? This is still good. Let's do another year.
Everybody's seeing it's playing out. Like I said, it's playing out a lot like a movie. You're going forward into the the big confrontation, the implosion from within, and everybody was saying, well, who's Roman going to wrestle next? Who's he going to wrestle next? Now that he's gone through all of these challengers, well, if it comes from within, it's going to be wrestling his own family, basically. Yeah. So it's been tremendous storyline. Really just been a tremendous storyline. So, all right, let's see what the chat's got to say there. Number one's Derek Fleming saying the Hardy Boys. Alexa Bliss Gamer saying DX. Mark saying he has two. New Day and the Brothers of Destruction. Okay. Harlem Heat says bonus baby. Barry Monkey saying the Rhythmic Warriors from IPWF in the 80s. Johnny Swinger and Mike Jackson both amazingly still wrestling today. Love Johnny Swinger, by the way. The Dudley Boys honorary mention to Conan and Ray, WCW, LAX, and the Briscoes. Yes. Number one, the Blackjack, says Jeremy. Ron Simmons beating Vader. I lost my shiznit, says bonus baby. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. 1A, 1B, the Usos, and 1C, the Wild Samoans. Mark says, my number one also has an A and B, as the Usos, of course, but my number 1B is a group that I feel like people are starting to forget, the Shield. The Lucha Brothers, says John G. The Young Bucks, says John G. There you go. Number two, the Bloodline story is probably the best mode story made of best made story WWE had for a long time. John G. saying Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Okay. Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, two of the most dominant singles wrestler in British history. As a team, tens of millions turn the TV on just to watch them. Let's see. Number 5, Rock and Roll Express. The New Age Outlaws, number 4. Number 3, the Steiners. Number 2, the Hart Foundation. And number 1, the Road Warriors. Hello, Jesse Callan. Jesse just popped up. All right. We're going to go round table on this section here. And what we're going to talk about now is the state of tag team wrestling currently. So we're just going to go round table and talk about what we think of tag team wrestling as it stands today. And go from there. So let me start with Tazzy. Tazzy, what place do you think tag team wrestling has today? So we're talking not just WWE, but all the companies. Where do you think where do you think it stands? Do you think it's in a good place? Do you think it needs some improvement? Where do you think tag team wrestling is today?
If you would have told me a year ago, then I was like, yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be going on. Now, as we're at now, all promotions are doing actually really great now. They're doing a lot better than it was. Let's put it like that. I do have to put this out here. And I thought about this last night when I was watching wrestling. I can't remember what I was watching. I do think we need to, and this is all promotions, the women tag team division.
Yes.
That has to be fixed. WWE, they did it wrong. I know I talked about this before on our Tuesday shows. What they should have did in the first place, they should have started NXT first before they just build tag teams from there and then build out to the main roster. That's what they should have did. But hey, could have, would have, should have. Impact is getting better. They have. I do say this. WWE and Impact have the right tag teams at the moment for the women division. They got the right tag teams. And now if you guys know who's the WWE tag team champions for the women are right now, that's kind of like the perfect thing because now you guys got to find somebody to actually beat them now. So now you got to add more tag teams. So like, okay, maybe this is tag team deal. The next team. Same thing with Impact. Who's going to beat them? There's going to be tag teams gunning for them. I don't know when AEW is going to do it. I'm assuming they're going to wait until their women roster is actually like perfect for them to actually do that, where they actually can just like you know what I'm saying. I think the AEW women's division is getting a lot better. It's very, very good. Like I'm literally watching it now. Like, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh my god! You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, as for the men in all, I love the trio tag team in AEW. I love the trio tag team. It's different. It's a tag team division where it's like you're not really seeing tag team wrestling. You're just seeing chaos all over the place. And you know me, I like chaos. But Impact, of course, is doing great. Impact is doing great, of course. WWE is getting a lot better. I don't know what they're going to do with the tag team. Are they going to split it up tag team? Or they're going to do so? That's what we got to wait on. But I'm lightweight excited. I'm having a fun time watching wrestling right now. Tag team wrestling right now. So I'm excited.
I'm going to probably be a little bit biased here, and I'm going to say that I've said this before. To me, Impact has one of the best knockouts divisions of them all, and I'll stand by that. The tag team, the women's tag team, there's some good ones. Yes, the Coven, of course, holding on to the titles right now. You have now the Death Dolls. You know there are some good ones. I don't think it's quite in a great place exactly yet because I think they have to start finding some more teams. They've got the women there for sure. I think that they sometimes have a tendency to just kind of put two women together and just have them go. But I'd like to see them form some more teams. They were doing really, really well when the Iconics were there. I thought they had a little bit better stuff going on. You had Madison Rayne and Emma together, of course, as a tag team then too. So I think they just had a little bit more there. So I think they're close. I think they just got to find a couple more, that are going to stay together in the women's division. The men's division in Impact, phenomenal. absolutely phenomenal. The Guns are there. Ace Austin and Chris Bay are phenomenal. They just have an outstanding, I think, men's tag team division. WWE, and I've said this before, to me, you look at the women's. Yes, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are on top of the mountain. They're built as this really, really strong tag team. You are really going to have to come up with a good face team to knock them off. And I think that's a little bit of a problem with them because, again, now they've got some injuries. Listen, you can't help that. Things happen, right? Liv Morgan is out. And so you're going to have to deal with some injuries. But now it's almost like they're taking people, again, throwing them together, Shotzi with Raquel, and just kind of seeing what sticks. So I think they need to, you had what? It was Io Sky and Dakota Kai for a while. They kind of seem like they're going their separate ways a little bit. So I think they need some work. The men's as well. The men's to me almost seems a little more non-existent than the women's is. So I think they're getting there. And I think now with the infusion of the pieces that they're getting from NXT up onto the main roster, I think that's going to improve. So I think they've got a long way to go, but I think they're getting there. AEW, I would say, is probably right behind Impact. They're up there. They've got some fantastic tag teams. The Young Bucks, FTR, and then they've got tag teams on Ring of Honor. They're going to have that new show that's coming up soon, which I'm sure they'll have tag teams on there as well. There's rumors of maybe a brand split kind of thing happening there too. So we'll see where that goes. The women, they are infused with women's talent. I need to see more. And again, I want, they have enough people there now where they could start pairing them off in tag teams. And I think that would be a great thing to do. So I think the state of the tag team is coming back. I would agree with Tazzy there. I think it's becoming a little more prominent than what it was probably a year or two ago in some companies. I think some of them just didn't emphasize it for a good while. I mean, look, we saw everybody kind of knows now, right? Sasha and Naomi walked out of there because they didn't like how they were using the tag team titles for the women. It's pretty much, it's a thing. So, it was there. I think there has been improvement, which is good to see. But I think there needs to just be a little bit more. But I am excited about really all the companies and where they're going to go with it. So let's see. I got myself Tazzy Murray. What do you think about the state of it today?
So on a fundamental level, on like an even ground playing field, I'm glad that we get to talk about tag team wrestling. I'm glad that it's still around. So 100% across the board in a general sense. Tag team wrestling is fine when we talk about it. But then when we get into the details, I will say that like I'm on this 50-50 kind of journey because obviously there's always going to need to be improvement. And one of the biggest improvements would be just marketing. Because if you're not marketing the tag teams, especially when it comes to the women's side of tag team wrestling, and I've seen it, like we've all seen it, where the women's tag team division will be like hot, there'll be some buzz around it, but ultimately it falls flat because there's no marketing behind it, and some of the girls don't do their own marketing. Like I understand you're busy and doing other things, but if someone is not gonna be your cheerleader, you got to be your own cheerleader and be like, I'm out here doing tag team wrestling, sign us up, do this for us and everything like that. Show us behind the scenes if you want to get that fan base going. Marketing is the biggest key to make sure that all of the tag teams in professional wrestling go forward. Since we're picking for in the companies or whatnot, I still think that Impact has the strongest tag team division, just because of how they started and what they did. New Japan has the second strongest division.
Yeah,
Stardom, from what I've seen from other people that I watch along with them, Stardom has a very good tag team division as well. Then goes WWE, despite not everyone having equal footing and equal story time and stuff. And I'm not even gonna touch AEW, so that's not gonna be part of my thing. But I do have to agree that when we talk about WWE and them building tag teams and stuff like that, they have to really be consistent and like really stick with a good babyface tag team that can get over. Like, don't listen to the people online because they're always gonna complain about like a babyface tag team for some odd fucking reason. Sorry, but okay, yeah, but you know, like keep going with it, like to make sure that you have something equal to take down like the heel, and even if they don't, they'll still look great doing it in some way or fashion. I've always said this, especially when like you know Asuka came around and now she's you know this heel character and she does very heel under tactic stuff, right? If you don't have somebody with a similar character or a character that could just be a little bit more sneakier, it's not gonna work right if you're gonna have like a storyline. Like you have to, if you're gonna introduce an entity character, the character going against the entity character has to at least meet halfway or at least like 75% of the way, so that way I could be interested and root for that character that's going against the entity. Because you're like, man, I don't know, but like the entity it might like you know end everything, like it might just really attack you and injure you, but I'm gonna cheer you on. Like you want that kind of like babyface attachment to stuff, and sometimes WWE does it, sometimes WWE doesn't do it. But overall, the state of professional wrestling, especially on the indies, it's the state of professional wrestling, the state of tag teams in professional wrestling, especially on the indies, are doing just fine. We're always gonna like nitpick on stuff because nothing's perfect, but I could definitely say that from the amount of wrestlers that I've heard from, especially in like the Twitter Spaces and stuff like that, like you meet a lot of good indie tag team wrestlers that are hungry, that they want a spot, they want an opportunity, and like I cheer them on like all the freaking time. But overall, we're at a really good point where we could talk about it, and it's not as scarce as it was before. So I think that we're good.
Love it. All right, there you go. Jeff, man, you're up.
Yeah, so I would say with women's tag team wrestling and just the women's storylines in general, I think wrestling companies, and you know, not to disparage anyone, but I think they have to stop being lazy and they have to be more intentional when it comes to building stories and be more logical. A lot of times we talked about earlier, teams just kind of being thrown together. And I think a lot of times, you know, looking at WWE, a lot of times we just see them throw two baby faces together because they're two baby faces.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, where did this team come from? So being more intentional, developing some storylines backstage so they can play out in front of the crowd in the ring, that makes more sense to me. And I think it would help women's tag team wrestling a lot, because I think we're at a point where we have so many talented female wrestlers in all companies and on the indies that there's no shortage of talent to be able to build up some tag team rosters in these women's divisions. So it's just a matter of bookers, writers, producers being able to say, okay, let's make this make sense. Let's put some thought into it. Let's make it intentional. In terms of tag team wrestling today, I would say that a couple years before and during the whole COVID period, we hit kind of a tag team lull, I would say. And post-COVID, I think we've hit sort of a tag team renaissance. We're seeing new teams. We're seeing veteran teams that are still just continuing to elevate what they do. You look at a team like the Usos. You look at the New Day. You look at the Motor City Machine Guns. You look at teams like Subculture and Aussie Open. There are so many good teams out there right now doing great work, and it's great for the future of tag team wrestling. And that's only going to benefit us as fans, because as these teams, especially ones that we see on the indies, and I've seen a couple, Black and Yellow is one on the indies up here in the New York area that I've seen that I think have something special. So we might be seeing those guys on TV at some point soon. But I honestly think we're in a good spot with tag team wrestling. I just want companies to not be as cookie cutter and lazy sometimes. And I hesitate to call anyone lazy, but it feels lazy at times. Just kind of throwing two tag teams in a match just because it's a tag team match. Give us some story, develop some stories with the tag teams as well. Not only your singles wrestlers, but your tag teams as well. Get them involved. So that's where I think we are.
And you brought up a good point with the thing with the promos. I don't think enough people do that. It's a small little detail, but if you get something happening backstage that sets up something like that, whether it be two partners coming together backstage in a promo or, something like that happens. It's just a little detail, but it could go such a long way. And I do think that there's companies that do that extremely well. And that's why it leads into where it does. It follows a storyline. It starts something small, and then it just takes off. And I think more companies have to do that. So, great stuff. Great stuff. All right, let's see. See what I got in the chat here. Question for everybody. When it comes to Impact and all wrestling promotions for that matter, when it comes to the women's side, do you think the women's tag divisions are beneficial to the women's divisions in each wrestling promotion? Yeah. That's a short of it, long and short of it. Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Because it just makes sense, Mark, because again, like I said, you have, and like Jeff just mentioned, you have a lot of athletes out there. You have a lot of women's wrestlers. You're not going to have TV time for them all. That's just how it is. It doesn't matter what company you are. WWE has two primary shows every week. One is 3 hours, one is 2. You have 5 hours, and you are definitely not going to get them all on there. If you can form a good tag division, that gets it kind of a type of thing where it's, killing two birds with one stone. You get them both together, and then you have more TV time for them. It's just a logical thing. So, yes, I do think that it would be beneficial to any women's division because it's going to get those athletes on TV. Now, the whole thing is again, like Jeff said, and I think Maria alluded to it too, you can't just be lazy. You can't just throw them together for the sake of doing it and say, all right, well, we need to get these two on TV, so we're going to stick them together. It doesn't work that way. So go ahead.
Also, I want to add to that too, because I was just thinking about it, even if most of the women are not on television because of time, and you got to factor in commercials, we all hate commercials and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So sometimes the women can't be there week in, week out. But I do remember that Impact did that whole little house special where they had Wrestle House. Doing things like that in-house are beneficial to the women's division because you can actually see them every now and then if they're not wrestling. The thing that WWE does sometimes where they're hey, earlier today, this female wrestler was in training at the PC Center and then a fight broke out and she's recording it and giving context behind it. At least she's part of the roster. And something went down and bam, there goes your story, right? Because somebody could have been yo, why are you recording this fight? Don't do this, don't do that. And bam, there goes your story. So any type of little story that's in-house works. And I only say in-house because I was never a fan of Total Divas. I thought that really ruined the business, even though a lot of women say that Total Divas was their inspiration to get into wrestling or a fan to be a wrestling. But me personally, I just was no, that you're really destroying the business. By the way, guys, I'm very traditional. I like kayfabe and stuff. Okay. But and I also the respect the business part of aspect too. But if it's done in-house with the wrestlers, that's totally fine. That's beneficial for both men and women who cannot get to have a match that night. And it's better than them being in a dark match that no one's ever going to see.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Love it. All right. We're going to wrap this all up. We talked about yesteryear. We talked about, the current state. Now we're going to talk a little about the future, right? So we did give you our top lists before. We can kind of do this a little bit differently, but we're going to look at some of the ones who maybe we think are going to be around now and around maybe in the next 5 or 10 years. So let's just take a look into the looking glass a little bit, into the crystal ball, and let's look to see who we think are going to be the ones that we're going to be talking about if we were to do this show again in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now. Who are some of the tag teams? Who are the top tag teams in wrestling today? So let's talk about that. And again, women and men. I know we didn't discuss the women tag teams as much, but let's talk about that in this last segment of our tag team show. Again, guys, play along in the chat. Let us know. We talked about the past. This is going to be basically present and future. So who are your 3 tag teams? You can give them all 3. It doesn't matter. You don't have to go 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
But who are your teams that you're looking at that are going to be, the teams that are going to be on top in the future going forward? So let me start this time with Jeff. Jeff, who are you looking at in the current tag team scene that's going to be around, that are on the rise, or that are going to be great moving forward?
Well, hopefully they hold off on splitting these guys up because, man, they're good together. That's ABC, Chris Bay and Ace Austin. They're really good as a team. Really wanted them as a team for the longest time. We got it. I'm happy about it. They've been doing a great job. Aussie Open. Marie brought them up earlier. Yep. I think I want to see them in FTR so bad. Like I just want to see just like a long program between those 2 teams. Just kind of here's a team, a veteran team against these guys. I mean, I think that will be special. And I'm gonna throw out another team that maybe is not the future, and people are going to say, well, they're going to break up soon anyway. I think we get one more decent run out of the Street Profits.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we get one more run out of them before it's all said and done. But I think that what they've been able to do, the growth that they've had from NXT, I mean, let's be honest. When we think about some tag teams, especially some of the teams that we saw from yesteryear, and you think about the teams now, oftentimes there's one standout of the group. And I think a lot of people see that with Montez Ford with the Street Profits. He's got singles champion written all over him, I think, in due time. I don't want that to be rushed. I want to see them get more out of the tag team run. But I think we've got some really good teams, and there are a ton that I want to mention that I just don't want to belabor it and go like one ABC through Z. But we've got a lot of great tag teams out there, and I think it's in a good spot. But yeah, I think those 3. I mean, Chris Bay, Ace Austin, for me, they work so well together, and individually they're great, but as a team they're great, and it's great to see 2 guys like that who've had so much success as singles come together and form a team and be dominant like they've been. So
yeah, great stuff. I'm gonna go with one who I think is going to be listen, I like what they do. I like what they do for a few reasons. One, they're a little bit throwback kind of for me because they are I can't see them ever changing from heels. So that reminds me kind of the the Russian tag teams, that the ones who they never changed their gimmicks. They didn't go from heel to face. And I think that that's a good thing. And that team is pretty deadly. I love what these guys do. They are annoying as hell. You want to hate them every time you see them. And I just think that that's fantastic. WWE needs that. They need a tag team that can come up and do that. I'm glad they put them on the main roster because I think that that's a good place to start. If you're going to build it up, you need a tag team that everyone is going to hate, because then that gets you your faces to come in and you can start figuring out, okay, who's going to, who's going to come and challenge these guys. So Pretty Deadly, I think, is going to be a very good tag team for WWE. And that could be something that maybe kickstarts it a little bit there. I have to agree with Jeff and ABC. I think Bay is a phenomenal athlete, and Ace Austin I can't say enough about. Love the dude ever since I heard his interview on Busted Open when he talked about why he stayed in Impact and chose them over NXT. I think he's awesome. I think he could be the face of that company in the future. I really do. He's that talented. And so, yes, like Jeff said, I hope they do keep them together. I think they're doing phenomenal. I know eventually they're such great athletes that they probably will go their separate ways at some point, but I hope they do stick around a little bit more. Aussie Open, they will be amazing in AEW. Such an amazing tag team. I only saw them a little bit when they were in Impact, but from what I saw, they are phenomenal. And again, kind of a throwback for me because they could be, if they keep going the way they are, they could be on the level of the Machine Guns at some point someday.
Mm-hmm.
They have that.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that they could end up being. So those are mine. If the tag teams to watch going forward. Tazzy, what are yours?
Whew, I got a lot. There's one AAV. Of course, I agree with that. Also, they're just good. Of course, me being a Bullet Club homer, of course I'm a root for them anyway. So, the Viking Raiders, they have a look that is ridiculous. All you have to do is push them a little bit better. That's all. They have the mouthpiece. They have the two. It's just you got Vikings.
Right.
It's like,
can't go wrong with that.
Where do you see Vikings anywhere? Like that's perfect. Besides
Sarah Logan with them also is tremendous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I'm seeing a Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits with Bianca Belair soon. Just throw it out there. Just saying. Just throw it out there.
Oh, okay.
The Creed brothers, they have not been up yet. I think there might be getting called up. They probably would be that tag team that didn't get drafted but get called up. Oh man. What else is out there, man? I'm gonna go a classic. Yeah, I just really like them. The Lucha Brothers. I really like the Lucha Brothers. They're good, and they're actually a wrestling tag team. If I can throw that out. Not like some other tag team that's in their same. Anyway, yeah, man. Who else? I'm just trying to throw out names. I know that we're supposed to go 3, but I was like, I'm just trying to put it out there. Hey, by the way, don't the Pretty Deadly remind you of the Beverly Brothers back in the day?
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Knowing that team that's like, oh, I want to just punch you in the nose.
Is it possible that a top 10 tag team of all time is also one of the best tag teams of today, being the Motor City Machine Guns?
I don't see why not. You can't really count them out. Yeah.
I just sitting here just thinking about it. I mean, I don't think they get their due in terms of what they've done. The fact that they're still doing it today and not just out there. I mean, let's think about it. We've seen tag teams stick around for a long time, but the quality of their matches, the quality of their work deteriorates, and that happens as you get older in the business. But the Machine Guns, what they've been able to do from a match quality standpoint, even as recent as last Thursday, has just been tremendous. The matches that they've had over the last several years, given their longevity, is just absolutely tremendous to see them continuing to elevate their games. And I mean, we're seeing what they can do from a singles competitor standpoint by the programs that Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin have been in, but then they always come back together and they do great stuff. So they're not going to be around for another 5 or 10 years, but we should appreciate everything that they do while we still have them.
No doubt. No doubt. All right, Marie.
One more.
Okay, go ahead.
I cannot count these guys out because they're actually the NXT champions right now. Gallows. Make sure you guys pay attention to them. They're really, really like they're some beasts. They're really some beasts.
They are.
But yeah. So stay.
All right, Marie, you're up.
All right. So for my number 3, it's gonna be United Empire. Aaron Henare and the Great Okan. They just had an amazing triple threat tag team match to see who's going to be double champions of the IWGP World Heavyweight and the New Japan Strong tag team titles. That happened at Dominion today, and man, just having them facing Goto and Yoshihashi, and then 2 members of House of Torture, Evil and Yujiro. But Aaron Henare and the Great Okan do tag team moves, and they have like a tag team finisher, and it's like the greatest thing that like I've ever seen. Plus, they're awesome people, by the way. Number 2, again with United Empire, TJP and Akira Francesco. Akira Francesco is such a fireball in the ring. When he first came into New Japan Pro Wrestling, it was during Best of the Super Juniors last year, and he was so like unrefined. Since being with TJP as his mentor, he has become closer to being a diamond. He's still a golden nugget, but still needs a little bit more time to mature. But TJP and Akira has put on classic tag team wrestling matches where like it goes back to the fundamentals of like tag team moves, tag team finishers, like everything about it is so classic about it. Said that again, but yeah, TJP and Akira, great. And then number 1, I'm gonna have to like agree with everyone here across the board. Chris Bay and Ace Austin. I love both of these guys as singles and as a tag team, and I love that both of them are in Bullet Club. Man, I can't say enough good things about both of them. They have come a long way from like people not really talking about them to like their stock like rising, and I'm glad that we get to talk about them like on this roundtable. But the top 3 are those are mine.
Awesome. Great stuff, man. TJP was, oh my gosh, some of the matches he had an impact. Good Lord. Yeah, so good. So good.
Everywhere he's been good. Like, in fact, he's been good.
He really has. He really has. Well, there you go. Let me see what people are saying here. If anybody named anything, we've got. I saw some names being thrown around. Jesse put out a bunch there. Alpha Academy. Nothing is better than Otis. Usos, Imperium. Yeah, Imperium's a good one. Some people shouted them out. Sammy and Kevin. However long that lasts, they actually work really well together. They're good friends.
They do. They know
each other really well. I think that tag team goes as long as RK Bro. RK Bro was so big. Unfortunately, Randy Orton got hurt and kind of ended that. But yeah, was absolutely huge. More Alpha Academy shoes, please.
You know, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn remind me of this tag team that I used to know. I think it was a guy named El Generico and another guy named Kevin.
I think I heard that. Yeah, I heard about them.
Yeah, imagine that.
What happened to them, man? They had such a promising career.
I know what happened to those guys.
See, what happened was.
Oh my gosh, Swinger and Zicky Dice, says Rick. Crash and Hardcore Holly. Oh my gosh, now we're going crazy.
Yeah.
Kushida and Kevin Knight, the couple of occasions I saw them in Impact were really good. DIY says Alexa Bliss Gamer. This whole episode was on tag teams. Yes, Jesse. Yes, it has been.
Tag teams.
It has been. We did a big roundtable discussion about the state of tag team wrestling. All right, we're about done, guys. So let's just go real quick roundtable and yeah. Listen, I'm glad we had this discussion. It was a really fun thing to do. Like I said, we want to change this show up a little bit every now and then. You know, we do a lot of news and a lot of current events, but everybody kind of does that, right? So just change it up a little bit from time to time. And I kind of like these discussions because for the most part, I think what it does is it allows a group of us to just get together and just, smile about wrestling, laugh about it, and bring back good memories of what wrestling meant to us over the years. And I think that's a good thing to do. Sometimes you just got to step back, get away from the socials, take a deep breath, realize that wrestling is here to entertain us and it's fun to watch, and not always has to be so serious all the time and so, nerve-wracking all the time, and we can get away from that a little bit. So that's kind of why we do that. We kind of did stuff. The Brood. Oh, you're right. I didn't mention it.
We forgot about the Brood, but
oh my God, I love that. One of my favorite entrances ever. You're right, Derek. Yeah, they were amazing. The vampires right after that. They just took advantage of a great time with that. I mean, the whole thing was just amazing. So many. So let's just go quick round table one more time. And what did you, I mean, I'll just throw this out there really quickly. Again, we talked about the state of it going forward, how we, I'll just ask this question. What does tag team wrestling mean to you? I think that's will be a quick way to finish it off. And we'll go around and we'll let everybody promote their shows. We'll talk. We'll find out what Marie's doing next, find out what Tazzy's doing next, and we'll get on out of here. So I'll start with Tazzy. Tazzy, what does tag team wrestling mean to you as a wrestling fan?
I think it's more of it's just the thing with two people trying to make a story into a wrestling match. You guys ready? A psychology in the ring, is storylines and everything in tag team wrestling. I think I love to see like two tag teams try to make music together, like the Machine Guns and the North, the Usos and the New Day. What am I missing? There's a lot of the tag teams. I just like that. I even like to see tag teams that actually go out doing something other different. The ladder matches. The I'm gonna go crazy here. The war game matches. Yeah, that's me. I just like tag teams as a whole and see how people can coexist and try to win a match. That's basically what it is. So yeah, that's basically.
Absolutely. Marie, go ahead.
Man, that's a very tough question because I've never been asked that before. I don't even think about it in that terms. But I will say that, to me, it's just more wrestling. I analyze a lot of wrestling. I look at it from a perspective of how somebody can improve something if they need to improve it, or me just getting lost in the story for tag team wrestling. It's basically it teaches another fundamental in life about teamwork and how to help a partner, because it's essentially a partner. You got to win matches. If you're not pulling your weight or putting in some type of effort, your team is going to lose. So it teaches another life lesson of teamwork is important, even if when in wrestling they put enemies together as a tag team and they're like, yo, you got to make it work. So sometimes in life that stuff like that gets thrown your way. So you have to learn how to work together. It's another way of surviving in life, but it is also another way to see what kind of stories they can make, how they can improve their character work. And I want to get lost in the fantasy for about 2 hours of my life. That's about it.
Yeah. Listen, it's to me, I think it's important. I do. I think it's important for wrestling as a whole. For the reasons Marie mentioned, I think it's a big part of wrestling's past, and it needs to be a big part of the future. People can't overlook it because I just think it's so important, and it just gives people something different to watch. Sometimes when you get this, I don't know, I guess I could call it kind of story overload. When you get that a little bit, I think it just weighs on you. And then sometimes when it goes into, those couple of matches that you get that were the storylines that week to week to week to week, and then all of a sudden you get this tag team match, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm just going to take a deep breath. I'm going to watch this, and this is going to be cool because it's a great tag team match. And I'm just going to watch this, and I'm just going to enjoy it. I don't really need to be doing a lot of thinking, maybe, because there maybe doesn't have to be such a big, huge storyline that I need to pay attention to. I'm just going to watch, because it's a good tag team match. And I think that that's a good thing. I do think it's a necessity, though, for wrestling. I do. I think they have to put the emphasis on it. I think it has to be there for wrestling to exist the way it is. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, but I need more, and I need to see it continue to improve because it's such a big part of the history, and I think it needs to be a big part of the future as well. Jeff, go ahead, man.
Yeah, and Joe, just to kind of give you a heads up there, Jesse was saying no laughs tonight. I asked her; she's got like 4 or 5. So
Yeah, that's fine. You can
we
just
keep them quick.
Yeah, just keep them quick, Jesse. It's not really a regular show, so we're not. We're like we got to get some people out of here. We talked quite a while, so Jeff's got early work. I know I don't work tomorrow, but I'm sure others do. So if you just have a couple, it's cool. But yeah, we'll get back to that when we do our next Between the Ropes. We can get back to what we do regularly more in the next show. All right, Jeff, what you got?
So for me, I think when done properly, tag team wrestling enhances the rest of your product. I think it can be used as a vehicle to introduce new talent, to give them an opportunity to learn the ropes of the business, so to speak, especially if they're green. I think it's a great opportunity to do that. But then I also think that it just adds another dimension to what you offer. I mean, it's great seeing singles matches, but it's nothing like seeing a team. I often equate it to some of the great duos in like basketball. Who's gonna be the next Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen? Even though don't ask Scottie Pippen about Michael Jordan right now because apparently Michael Jordan's no longer on his Christmas card list.
Oh man.
but yeah, it's just honestly, I love tag team wrestling. It's always meant a lot to me. I love it, and I love the state that it's in now. I love the fact that we have some great talented teams out there, young and up and coming teams, and I'm excited for the future, but I'm really thankful for the teams that we got to see in the past.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. Jesse might have a couple jokes. That's cool. We can end with that. And before we do, let me just go around table. Marie, what do you got coming up? Let the viewers know once again if they weren't around at the beginning of the show where they could find you, and what you've got coming up in the future.
All right. So again, I'm Marie Shadows. This was fantastic. You can sign up to my wrestling newsletter, marieshadows.substack.com. That has everything from like my podcasting to streaming to some other cool stuff. Even me being on the indies as I just completed my first commentary gig. The next commentary gig is July 8th. If you want information for that, find me on Twitter at Marie_Shadows. Also on there, if you want access to my Discord where we talk about professional wrestling in a very adult way, friendly, fun, everything that you want. Ask me about that in the DMs. And the last thing is that I don't know if you guys know, but I made a wrestling planner that you can actually get on Amazon. If you want more information for that, the best way to contact me is on Twitter at Marie_Shadows. Slide into those DMs if you want to get your copy. But yeah, this is also the other thing that I was creating during the year.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Marie's been busy. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, there you go.
Thank you.
Make sure that you follow her on socials, and make sure, you reach out and check out what Marie's got going on. We appreciate you being here. Always fun to be. Again, we love looking back, and Marie was literally one of our first guests or first interviews that we did. And you're awesome, and we're so glad we could have you back. Come back anytime.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely.
I love being on here.
Yeah, we love having you. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tazzy, what you got coming up on your channel, dude?
Where do I start? Well, the party is back this week, so we're back for Monday Night Raw tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We got Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest for the world title, by the way. Tuesday, join us for NXT, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. What in the heck is Brian Corbin going to do? 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Friday, I know we got the Impact pay-per-view on Friday. Just come by and just drop a like on Friday at the party. That's it. Get back. I'd rather for you guys to go come and watch the Impact show, and then you can watch the SmackDown show later.
There you go.
I'm just keeping it real. What's wrong with though?
Yeah, that's We've got a busy week again because of Impact. They love to do pay-per-views 2 weeks apart. So we've got of course tomorrow Monday. Abby's tomorrow, Jeff. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Abby's window, 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will probably have some things to talk about. There has been some stuff out there, and they will clarify it all. Maybe something that happened in a promo or something on SmackDown on Friday that they might have to chat about. So make sure you join the folks at Abby's 6:00 tomorrow. Nothing Tuesday, nothing Wednesday. We're back on Thursday for Impact Wrestling, so 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have another go-home show, which will be for the pay-per-view on Friday. So make sure you join us for there's an amazing card for Thursday's show, by the way. So make sure you don't miss that. And then, of course, Friday is their pay-per-view. We have that on Friday, same time, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So come out and check out 2 days of Impact Wrestling this coming week. So make sure you join us for that. Okay, Jesse, if you're out there, now's the time. Shoot them out, and and we will get out of here afterwards. So didn't see any response, but if you're out there, shoot them out there. Otherwise, yeah, we'll wrap her up.
All right, let me know if you guys can hear this now because I've been over here fiddling with this crap. So,
all righty.
Okay.
No.
I give up.
All right, Jesse's ready to roll. Number one, what do you call the soft tissue between a shark's teeth? A slow swimmer.
Oh my God.
This is Marie's first into Jesse joke, so yes. Oh gosh, yes. We like to finish with a laugh. No time.
That's fine,
Jesse. Yes,
that's fine.
James liked it. The Miami Heat won. Yes, I did see the score. They 1-1 now.
Yeah,
I'm kind of over it because my Celtics lost. So yeah, I'm kind of done with basketball. I moved on to baseball. Number two, you know you're getting old when you have more candles on your cake than friends at your birthday party.
Wow.
Damn, really?
That was dark.
That one kind of got me right here.
Damn.
I'm gonna sad face. Yes. Yeah. Wow. I would say maybe that was ageism, but no. I'll hold it back.
As they say, I resemble that remark.
Yes. Yeah. You can see the gray up here resembles that. Yes. God. Oh man. When we do our next Between the Ropes while we're waiting for number three. Here it is. Number three. Definitely just a joke. One of my best friends is a blonde. How do you drown a submarine full of blondes? Knock on the door. Wow. Oh my God.
How do you? Oh my God.
Wow.
That's just me.
That was it. Yeah. I picked no favorites, so no worries. I get too lazy and old to throw birthdays. So yeah, our next Jeff, next week you've got the kids, I'm assuming, right? Every other week?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So probably we will not, because we have the pay-per-view coming up. We probably won't do this show next Sunday. We will the following Sunday. What we'll do is we'll probably go back to our format for that one. So we'll kind of catch up on some news and stuff like that. We'll have the debate segment. We'll have everybody's favorite airing of grievances segment. So we will go back to our normal format for that particular show since we did two off format ones. So you could join us for that. Not this coming Sunday, but the following Sunday. So John G liked that one. Number 4. The number one cause of death is too many birthdays.
No kidding.
Jesse's just very dark tonight.
Jesus.
It's very, very dark. We're headed down a dark path. Oh man.
I like dark humor, but damn.
I was Leslie's really hitting home. Yeah. Yes. If we had the meme of Clint Eastwood on the front porch, I would be putting it up on the screen.
Right.
Hashtag take
Jesse's having a dark time. Yeah. Yeah, obviously. Jeez. Oh my gosh. Number 5. No one has ever complained of a parachute not opening. Think about it.
Oh yeah, I thought about it.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Wow, we've got ageism and death. We just got yeah. All right. You went to a dark humor site. Yeah, you certainly did. You certainly did.
Obviously.
Wow.
I'd say so.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Jeff, have you done any of your horror podcasts lately?
It's been a few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
I always forget to kind of plug your horror. See it. The dark stuff maybe go horror. So yeah. Yeah.
Hey, cross promotion. It works, right?
All right. Hey.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Oh,
Very dark night, says Derek. I'm sure there were some complaints on the way down.
There's number 6, Joe.
Number 6 is
Oh
up.
my god.
Last one. What is Mozart doing right now? Decomposing. Decomposing. All right. Okay. Yeah,
Wow. It got dark real quick.
We're done.
Just shovel the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
Yeah. Good God. Alrighty then. Well, listen, again, like I said, there's fantastic discussion. Thank you all so much for being here. Loved having you, Marie, Tazi, as always, and of course, Jeff. I loved it. Love talking about tag team wrestling. It really is my favorite part of the sport. And I loved everyone's insights. I thought it was very, very cool. So again, you're welcome anytime. Oh, look at that.
Forgot about it.
Oh my god.
Typhoon and Earthquake. Oh, and Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Fantastic. Yes. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. I love it. Like dude on Rocky said, throw in the damn towel. The Usos, as we mentioned.
So
Good stuff. Good stuff. We the ones. Loving it. All right, guys. Again, make sure to come back and join us tomorrow at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Abby's Window. Jeff and Jody and maybe Dom. I don't know if Dom will be there. There might be some other guests. They get some people other than that in there. So make sure you join them then. I will see you guys on Thursday with Jeff for Impact Wrestling, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, we have Friday and the pay-per-view, same time for that as well. And you can watch that pay-per-view on Impact's YouTube channel. So make sure you're a member to be able to watch along on that pay-per-view with us. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for being here. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you for all the participation in the chat. And we hope you guys enjoyed this as much as we did. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Please stay safe. Be kind to one another, please. And hopefully we will see you all for our next show. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.